All you folks coming in, unfortunately, we don't have a quorum, so we're not going to be able to conduct business at all tonight, but we are going to listen to a presentation from the Lake Little Cal Collaborative as it relates to what they have going on in the field. Sorry.
Put them on the spot, technology.
So will all business that would normally be conducted tonight be at next month's meeting? Is that
If we
correct?
don't have a special meeting, we got to try to do that. So we're going to try to do that.
We're gonna try to have a special meeting.
Yeah.
You're ready.
Evening, everybody. Thanks for having us. I'm Harry Kuttner. I'm with the Wetlands Initiative. I'm our Calumet Program Manager. Presenting with
Craig Zanstra, Lake County Parks and Recreation. I'm a Superintendent Planning Natural Resource Division for them.
Alan. And thanks for having us. We're here on behalf of the Little Calumet River Conservation Collaborative. The members of that collaborative are Audubon Great Lakes, the Little Calumet River Basin Development Commission, Met Collaborative, NIPSCO, Lake County Parks and Recreation, City of Gary, the Wetlands Initiative, and the Nation Conservancy. Specifically tonight, we're giving an update, or our presentation is sort of aimed at explaining our recent request for funding to the commission. So just to summarize that request, we requested just over $300,000 for ongoing habitat restoration and maintenance costs. And that would be from October 1st of this year through September 30th of 2026. We also submitted a 3-year request for funding for the Lake County Parks and Recreation restoration crew that maintains the areas inside of the levee system. That's over $1 million, but that's over a 3-year period between October 1st of this year through September 30th of 2028. So to quickly kind of, boil that down, our funding request as we submitted it aims to first and foremost build capacity and consistent funding for that Lake County Parks restoration crew. Also provide sustained habitat restoration funding for the 3 existing sites that we've been working at that the commission is responsible for. So that's about 400 acres. Allow our collaborative to take over maintenance and monitoring at the Black Oak Repay mitigation project, which the commission is also responsible for. That's about 35 acres. And provide a very small amount of funding to support the community engagement and volunteer stewardship work that we've been doing on an annual basis. So just to orient everybody and as a reminder, this is a good chunk of the West Branch of the Little Cal, but it's really just showing from Kennedy Avenue to I-65 at the east end. So these 3 sites I just circled, Highland Rookery, Grant Street Wetland, MLK South Wetland. Those are just about, they're just over 400 acres. We've been managing those since we've been working with you all. This next circle, that's where that Black Oak Savanna mitigation area is. So those are the sites we've been doing active restoration at. And then these 2 orange circles, those are the 2 larger engineering and planning projects that we've been talking about for the last couple of years. We've got the Marshalltown Marsh Complex at the east end of that corridor, and then the Chase Street Complex kind of right in the middle. So, kind of quickly to summarize what we've been doing with these restoration projects since 2020, or we started work in 2019, funding through you all started in 2020, 2021. So we've been managing 450 acres of habitat between those 3 sites. This is a long process, as you probably have all seen, and you can tell from the dollars you've sunk into it. The beginning of that process is like the big investment, right? In not only dollars, but energy, the amount of, herbicide that gets used. We're taking these sites from like dense populations of Phragmites, which serve no benefit to the public, and transforming them into native habitats like they should be. So just want to highlight, like, we are still very much in progress. We're making some big gains. Some of these sites are doing better than others. But we are moving into that phase where, you know, a lighter touch in activities, so more maintenance mode versus like that heavy upfront restoration mode. So, you know, to give some quick snapshots of these sites, and I'm not going to talk on them in too much detail, but this is that MLK South wetland. We've got a photo from 2018, I believe, and then a more recent photo in progress. We're starting to see native plant communities be reestablished. Part of that is just coming up from the seed bank, and then part of that is the dollars we put into the site, planting new seed and seedlings. The marsh birds that Daniel Suarez is always talking about from Audubon, those are at all of these sites, and they seem quite happy. Highland Rookery and Highland.
Harry, how do you know those birds are happy? Just because they're there?
Because they're there, yeah, and the residency times are being recorded. Yeah, and we're seeing some threatened and endangered birds using these sites. So yeah.
Each year, the data that Audubon does from their monitoring, we're seeing the continued progress, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've been doing some plant monitoring. That's something that we want to be expanding in these next phases of work. Lastly, we have that Grant Street wetland, which is over 200 acres. That's where the Taney substation is, just Chase Street. So again, we've been really transforming these sites. Last winter was the first time we spread lots of native seed across these areas. We've done a number of big plug planting events on a yearly basis. NIPSCO has been a big partner on those, a few thousand plants planted every year. And then I just want to take a brief moment to highlight that Black Oak Savannah Army Corps mitigation area. So that's one of two parcels that the Army Corps did restoration at in the last 10 years. That's been the responsibility of the Basin Commission to do management or maintenance and monitoring on a yearly basis. So we're proposing to take over the Oak Savannah area. It's just about 35 acres, but we think it's important because it has some old roads running through it, which provides some interesting opportunities for public access. It's also directly east of Lake Etta Park. So, you know, we think this is a cool space that residents can actually access. It doesn't flood as regularly as some of the other areas. It's a little higher and drier.
What's the north-south street there, Harry?
Yeah, so that's Clark Road.
Clark. Thank you.
And it's just north of the river. Let's see. Yeah, and then I just want to highlight some of the restoration funding wins that our collaborative have, you know, achieved to date. So to date, the Basin Commission has funded almost $700,000 into this project, and that's mostly going to on-the-ground restoration work. Some of that also goes to some of our partner organization like project management time and some community engagement. Our partnership has also brought a lot of funding to the table. So we definitely have our skin in the game as well. Through the Chi-Cal Rivers Fund, we've received three grants to date, and that's over $980,000. We recently submitted a fourth application for funding, which would bring in another $200,000 to $300,000 in funding as early as January 1st of next year. We're still waiting to hear about that. I also want to just note that our newest collaborative partner, it's an organization called Calumet Collaborative. They were the ones to submit that application on behalf of our collaborative. So that's not uncommon. Originally it was Audubon submitting those applications. It's been the Wetlands Initiative for the past couple of years. And now Calumet Collaborative is submitting that on our behalf. We also
Is that going to be ongoing, or is that a one-time thing?
So that application was for a 2.5-year funding period, I believe.
No, not that specific funding source, but the grant writer, is that going to be something that's just a one-time thing, or is that ongoing for what we're talking about?
With Calumet Collaborative as the lead.
Yes.
I mean, it is something that could continue in the future, but I mean,
Would the funding in this world go to them then if they were awarded it?
So with the Chi-Cal Fund, yeah, they would be the primary recipient, but I think the Wetlands Initiative, Nature Conservancy, and Audubon are listed as sub-recipients. The Wetlands Initiative, Lake County Parks, Audubon, and the Nature Conservancy, the four sort of conservation focused groups, we'd still be managing all the restoration side of things. Those dollars would be funneling through us. Calumet Collaborative is a sustainable economic development organization. So they'll be helping out on the community engagement, long-term stewardship planning side of things.
Thank you.
I'm gonna pass it to Craig.
Yep. All right, for Lake County Parks, we do appreciate the assistance that the local commission's done for us the last several years, and having a crew on the ground is very important. You can kind of see from some of the bullet points here. We've seen it over and over with some of our other crews and other partnerships in Lake County, which I'll mention, but having a full-time crew staffed for maintaining these restoration gains is important. As Harry mentioned, we're getting to the point now where it's considered more maintenance mode in some of these areas. So you can't use such a heavy-handed approach of just spraying the one monoculture that's there. You know, there's good native plants that are coming up in the midst, in some cases, of purple loosestrife or some Phragmites. So you need to individually treat some of these plants. So the good plants that are there aren't affected. So it just takes a little more time and effort. Also, with the 3-year funding request, we will have more stability and efficiency for our crew. That's a big help too. And then we do hire from local communities. Right now, our natural resource crew, we have several of our natural resource crew that live close to the Little Calumet River. So we have some folks that do have skin in the game as well. They care about the area, and I think that's important. Going back again to the full-time crew, I mean, looking at it, we see that with our park employees. They feel they have ownership of the sites they work in. They have pride, and they want to see these sites look good. So having employees that are based in these areas, I think that helps a lot with the quality of work we get. Also, they become a lot more familiar with the sites. They'll be working at 3, 4, 5 different areas within the locale, and over the years, that'll probably jump up to more sites as we start restoring more areas. Also, it's good to have them there for just the eyes and the ears and the ground. I mean, there's plenty of times where Emily will let me know if something doesn't look right or there's other things going on. And so also having that full-time crew, there's nothing saying that, somebody like Dan couldn't also talk to them and point out things. And if there's things we need to have done, it's easier for us to work with our own crew with the back and forth between the commission and us. So I think the communication would be benefited as well. If there's anything you need, immediate help on projects, or if there's something that needs to be done, I think having that crew on the ground, just beneficial to be able to get that done a lot sooner. As far as the stability and efficiency, just for any employee you see, I mean, our crew right now, they don't have the benefits and some of the other stability that maybe a full-time Lake County Park employee might have. Allowing them to have that would be good for them, because then it allows them to stay longer and also plan ahead like anybody else would do in a normal job. Also with our partner relationship, it's beneficial. Our partners are huge. I'm just going to bring up our Grand Calumet River AOC project. Ourselves, Nature Conservancy, and Indiana DNR Nature Preserve Division, we've been working along the Grand Calumet River. We've been maintaining about 900 acres between East Chicago, Hammond, Gary, and we've been doing a pretty good job through there. And we're getting to the same point where this crew's getting to, where we're starting to get in the habit in the maintenance mode. We had our heavy-handed approach first, and now we're really getting into these areas with the fine-tooth comb. So having those partnerships has been good, because then is what we've done is, Lake County Parks, when I started, I think had one full-time employee for maintaining natural areas, one full-time person for over 5,000 acres. So that's tough. And so now we've actually built our crew up to 5 full-time people, Lake County Parks. So that's great. So we're able to get into more areas in our existing parks, and also that helps those folks, our full-time employees, work with our crews. So we have our crew up in the Grand Calumet River. We have a crew here in Little Calumet River. So having all those folks working together is just a benefit for having more equipment and more resources to do with burns and other things. So it's been a great thing for us.
So Craig, I'm sorry, you said there's 5 full-time, people on the crew working on the sites that you showed us previously?
Just existing Lake County Park employees who are full-time for natural resources only. That's existing right now in our department. We've got 5
What does
full-time
natural
people.
resources mean as it relates to the collaborative?
Like this is our natural resource
So you
crew.
do other things other than the collaborative?
Correct. The crew we have existing right now with Lake County Parks, they maintain all our county parks, from Grand Kankakee Marsh in the south to Gibson Woods in the north. So that's what we have right now. That's not including our crew that we have working on the Little Calumet River, and we've got another crew working on the Grand Calumet River. So I'm just trying to show the
Let
collaboration.
me ask another
Yeah.
way. How many full-time people are working on the Little Calumet River Collaborative from parks?
Right now, nobody full-time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're all part-time.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's 5 people or 3 people? How many?
Right now, we've got 3 people, and then the crew leader actually is employed by the Nature Conservancy.
Okay.
She used to be a park employee, Emily Glover, and then the Nature Conservancy went ahead and hired her as a full-time employee so she could get the benefits and everything she needs to stay on the crew as a crew leader. She's been a great crew leader for us. We wanted to keep her, and because TNC could go ahead and offer the benefits, then she's a TNC employee right now, but she oversees the other 3 Lake County Park part-time employees.
These are the people that are spraying for the Phragmites and
Correct.
replanting the native grasses.
All that, yeah. So, and then also, having those partners I mentioned, the crew right now, like some of our full-time employees at Lake County Parks that do our natural resource work, the same work that the crew here is doing in the Little Calumet River. We've actually hired, I think, all of them from either Indiana DNR or the Nature Conservancy. We were able to have a full-time job available for them, and they took it, and they've been working with us ever since. So we've had some good people that are already trained because of our partners. So that's the kind of thing I think we could expect here as well, where, there's a position open. I know right now the Nature Conservancy, there's a little question as far as some of the funding they have for the next few years. So it's possible we could gain another employee or 2 from them, because if we have a full-time job available, it's likely somebody would take it, and somebody who has experience, and also probably local as well. So there's some good benefits there. And then also from the local communities, it helps because then you're part of a larger team. If they're able to join Lake County Parks, then we just have more resources to work with, more crew members from other crews that they can depend on. So it just helps to be part of a bigger family. And I think it helps too to keep the morale up, and then also just, more people to help manage these sites and to do a better job. Also, if you look at what we've been doing, like I mentioned right now, probably 3/4 of our crew is all based in Lake County. And that's of all the full-time people we have. So, really most of the people we hire in these crews do live in Lake County. And so I think that's a benefit as well financially and for the county itself. And so we've seen a lot of benefits there. So that's what I got right now for you. So,
Thank you.
yep.
So we'll just touch on a couple other things briefly, just so we're covering all our bases with what's, funded under our request. So a small amount of our funding on a yearly basis through you all goes towards supporting our volunteer stewardship activities. We invite in local community members, employees from NIPSCO to come out to these natural areas to enjoy them and to help us in the restoration process. But we've also been expanding in the past couple of years from just having that connection to communities to actually inviting people out to these spaces just to learn more about them. We're starting to have, more nuanced conversations with local communities, both in Gary and in Highland, about what they want out of these spaces long-term, who should be taking care of them, things like that. I also want to note, so this is not part of our funding request. We did include a note on this in our cover letter, but on top of the funding that we're seeking, pending grant funding getting approved for our 2 large engineering projects, we will be seeking additional matching funds from the Basin Commission to help support these projects. So as a reminder, we have 60% engineering plans for the Marshalltown Marsh and Hatcher Park project. And we are on the way to having 60% engineering plans for the Chase Street complex by the end of 2025. Both of these initial design phases have been funded almost entirely through grants that we've secured, so we have not really been tapping into the Basin Commission to help with that. But when you move to that final engineering phase, the price tag, continues to go up. So, we would really appreciate that future support from the commission. So those are, just want to set you all up to expect,
Setting us up, huh? So let me ask you a question, Harry. Explain to everybody how you came up with these two locations as being the primary focus of this future setup.
Yeah, totally. So when our collaborative started doing work out here, that really started with the Nature Conservancy, who has been on the ground on the West Branch for decades, coming to some other conservation organizations and saying, hey, you ought to take a look at all these areas. They're managed by the Basin Commission, and there's opportunities to really improve these for benefits to the surrounding community. So that started a site prioritization process that was really based in conservation science. So we're looking at sort of like, what are the biggest areas where with somewhat minor investment, you end up having greatest benefits for the surrounding communities. So basically, these two sites are two of the largest contiguous acreages within the levee system that the Basin Commission is responsible for. So the Marshalltown Marsh area is 400 acres and the Chasery Complex is 800 acres. There's lots of other parcels, on the West Branch, but a lot of them are 25 to 50 acres to 100 acres. So these two sites in particular, we identified as having huge opportunity, not only from the conservation perspective, but also from the recreation and trail connectivity perspective. Both sites have a NIPSCO right-of-way running through them, and NIPSCO is part of our collaborative. We've been having conversations about potential trail connections through their rights-of-way, linking up to the Little Cal Trail system. Both of these sites are also directly next to Lake County Parks facilities, Lake Etta and Three Rivers County Park. So again, you get big benefit there. I also do just want to note that with both of these projects, in addition to you all, we have been engaging with the city of Gary, with NIPSCO, and with community leaders. So this really isn't just conservation groups coming to you with this idea. We're having conversations with other stakeholders. For the Chasery Complex, we do have a community advisory board, which we've assembled, which are 8 local residents. They've been weighing in on the design process, but also just helping us think about how we can have community-focused events to get people out to these spaces so they can start to.
Are they from throughout the watershed, those 8 people, or are they all from that particular location?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can't speak to where everybody lives, but primarily we reached out to community leaders from the surrounding communities around that site. So it's mostly Gary. But yeah, I can't speak to where everybody is located. For that, sorry. I do just, last thing about that match funding. So this is a list of grants we've already secured that last from 2024 through mid 2026. That's $1.3 million. $300,000 of that is coming from you all. We've applied for over $9 million in grant funding, which we will be hearing about in the next 3 to 6 months about whether or not we'll get funded for that. So for those 2 engineering projects specifically, we're hoping to get between $2 and $7 million, and we'd be asking for between $500,000 and $700,000 in matching funds from you all to support that. So your investment would really be, providing exponential funding for these areas. Last thing that we want to talk about tonight. We will cooperate. So that's loading. But last thing we want to talk about is just to address some of the questions that we've gotten over the past year about, other potentials for restoration projects in the West Branch corridor. And I think specifically, some of you commissioners have asked us about projects west of Klein Avenue. So yeah, I'll let Craig talk about 2 of those. Close this out.
Yeah, sure. We had a meeting back in April at Wicker Park with, this is specifically for the confluence area by Wicker Park where Hart Ditch comes into the Little Calumet River. I know we have Commissioner Baker, you've spoken with some folks from our collaborative on some of the issues along there. And so we thought that might be one area that, of course, could use some help. And so we did have a meeting at Wicker Park back in early April. Dan was there. We had City of Hammond, Highland, also Munster there, and then North Township was present as well. And so what we wanted to do at that meeting was just kind of introduce those park superintendents from those communities and also Wicker Park, of course, to what we're doing. And then also we wanted to let them know what's happening, especially from, I would say, Kennedy Avenue West. And just, I went through some areas of open space along this west branch, the far west branch of our project. And so we went over those and just explained what we're doing. And we asked those communities to think about, long-term helping us, number one, with some of these sites. Wicker Park especially, I know they've have some skin in the game here. They've got the park right there, and the Hart Ditch Confluence is right in their backyard. And so any kind of enhancement that could be done here, whether it's for recreation and also for habitat, and then also for flood control would be great, because, I know personally, a lot of people use Wicker Park for walking. I mean, it's probably one of the more popular parks in Lake County. And so being able to do some work in there, I think would be great. And so we kind of challenged them a little bit, I think, in the meeting, just to see if they could help. We didn't get any commitments from anybody, but they know what we're doing. And so I think from that meeting, we identified a couple areas that we'd like to really start working on. This would be one of them. And so, we haven't quite got some real direction yet, but it's something that we're going to be working on eventually. And so we know there could be some work there, and with all the possibilities with the park and with the river and everything else, and pretty good access for the public, I think it would be a great site. Also, Oxbow Park in Hammond. I've been reaching out to the Hammond Park superintendent about that, and we had a site visit there, a number of us, about a month ago from the collaborative. After one of our visits along some of our project sites, we went and looked at Oxbow Park, took a walk around, and just wanted to see it for ourselves. I mean, most of us have been out there before, but wanted to get a fresh look at it. And speaking with the Hammond Park superintendent, he's working on getting a meeting together. I think Dan will be involved in that as well, but I'll be there. And then also we invited Audubon as well. And so what we want to do is offer some help, some assistance on that site, be part of the process on it being restored. There's some recreational facilities that are in that site that could use some help. The boardwalk, of course, maybe some parking and some other amenities, maybe making it easier for fishing. Also, I think we should look at the hydrology there in that site. Looking at it now, it appears to me, since I was there in high school and later in college, it appears a little drier to me, although it's been a dry year the last year. So maybe there's something we can do hydrology wise, like we've done at MLK and Highland Heron Rookery, whether it's a structure or being able to manipulate the water elevations a little bit better, but that could really help us with some of the habitat. So I think having that meeting with Hammond coming up will allow us to start the process here at Oxbow, and then get a direction, and then hopefully start working on this site as well. So,
Yeah.
And then any other sites that come up, I think having the crew as well would help us, because if there's other sites that we need to do spot treatments on or other work in the future, having a crew on the ground, I think would help us being able to tackle some more of these sites and even start in maybe small areas and work our way up. But I think there's a lot of potential there. So.
And I concur. And one of the thought processes too is because that section, those two are just part of the most densely populated part of the entire system. And there's, the Convention and Visitors Authority, there's a lot of hotels, obviously there's a lot of houses and businesses. That would also be good marketing for the collaborative by showing along those heavy traveled park trails and the walk around at Wicker, here's what's happening, here's who's doing it. That would also help as you're doing these other larger projects, because more eyeballs are going to see a sign there than they are in some of the other sites that you guys are working on.
Yeah, and so I think you make a good point. Honestly, it's based on first assessment. It seems like both of these areas have biggest potential to have an impact from a public access perspective. In terms of habitat, which is where my organization's main priorities are, these are both relatively small parcels, right? 10 to 20 acres. So investment.
Happy Birds like going there too.
It's true. Oxbow Park actually has really good residency from marsh birds. But I do just want to point out, they don't have the same potential for creating these huge wetland complexes. And so I think, to be transparent, we've had these site visits, but honestly, I think we need a little more direction from you all to hear what the aspirations are out here, whether it's just Phragmites treatment or something more elaborate with like restoring particular type of hydrology or something like that. So the other thing is, I think we would probably look to you all to help, connect us with the relevant municipalities and sort of steer those conversations. But I think this winter, one thing we've talked to Dan about was having a work session with him and any of you all that wanted to join to go over all of our projects. I think to dig into those engineering projects, but I think these would be two good sites to hear more from you all what direction these should head in, and then we can provide a supporting role.
Something nicer than just leaving it after all that development happened. Might be one option, or just a mini version of what you guys are doing, further east. I mean, use that as a baseline and then see what happens from there. If you can't do it, or there's some issue with the, the geology or whatnot, I get it, but at least have that as a baseline. So you don't have to have 5 meetings just to get to a baseline. And then see, well, this is too much, and then go from there. A lot of people walk through there to be able to ride their bikes and, go walk. It's a very high profile location for the collaborative to do some cool things. What I think is cool and what all these people think are cool, it could be completely different. So, I mean, put together a recipe.
What about we've got some areas on the east end of this over by Liverpool, where we had some land and it's just sitting there and we haven't done anything with it.
The Reverse County Park?
Yes.
Yeah, that actually, we have done some more work recently there, and by the end of this year, that will be open to the public. That gate will be open and daily, and we've started doing some work and it will be open to the public, so.
One of the things I want to stress to the fact that both of you, I think you do a great job as far as maintenance in parks. I attended your function in October at the Lake Etta, and it was a very nice event and that you engaged the public. I like to see from the work that you do that both of you can engage the community and community groups to participate with you regards to recreation opportunities. You did a nice one with the Lake Etta, with the kayaking and the bird watching and the hiking. But there are groups out there, I think, that you can work with and cooperate with for not only just for that particular season, but for the summer, for winter events. If you have any winter events going on that you can incorporate the community. There are a lot of community groups out here, and there's some here now that I think that you can cooperate with, build a relationship and do something recreation for people besides biking, besides walking. It's just something recreation for schools, just for general. Give you an example. Me and Dan, we took a tour. We had 2 buses. We took a tour of people from Gary, Hammond, and I forgot the other community, and we took them along the park. They were surprised to see eagles' nests. They were surprised to see beavers. They were surprised to see all the things that we have. We live in a winter. We live in a real forest area. If you go
A swamp.
we do wildlife. We really do, with trees and animals within their thing. I mean, we even got coyotes up and down here. All right. So I think that if you can reach out to these groups, one's here now, reach out to them, build a collaborative agreement and help build recreation for the whole Northwest Indiana community. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. And I think that the 2 larger engineering and planning projects.
Yeah.
That's our collaborative, recognizing that, hearing that from you all, hearing that from community groups that we're working with.
Right.
And figuring out ways to actually fund their involvement. So for both of those projects, which again would be largely funded through grant funding, we, our proposals include pots of money to, bring community groups to the table.
Right.
For recreation opportunities, but also just conversations about like, what did these sites look like 50 years ago? What do we want them to look like in 50 years? Who should be taking care of them? Who should be at the table, stuff like that.
If you do like 1,000 of these, like you put along in supermarkets, things like that, I'm pretty sure that you get a lot of people to participate with you. But I want to compliment you. It was a great event.
Thank you.
And plus the fact you provided food for people.
Well, you're,
Should have led with that.
on your second or third page, can you go back to that in the slide there?
I think that's where you had the legend at the bottom left corner of, progress.
Map or?
The legend here at the bottom is what I was looking at. Before you went to the next, so your proposed phase 4 restoration.
Yeah, and sorry, some of those labels are a little out of date. So the phase 4 restoration, those are the sites that have been in restoration for the past 5 years. And then the 60% design complete, that's the Marshalltown Hatcher Park area. And then the 60% design in progress is the Chase Street area.
When you say restoration, we're talking about getting rid of the Phragmites and
Yeah,
planting
so
native grass.
eradicating native species, doing some of the hydrologic restoration and then planting native species.
Now with the advent of technology, now drone technology, are you guys seeing a opportunity to use drone technology to treat the Phragmites and get rid of them?
Yes, but it's still in imperfect technology. So we had a drone spray out there 2 years ago at MLK South, and then again this year. To be honest, and we talked to Dan about this, there was a lot of overspray, so meaning they sprayed off target. So what ended up happening this year is they sprayed a lot of the native vegetation that was starting to come back, just because it's a little bit of like a blunt tool at this point.
Right.
But it does provide some unique opportunities for accessing hard to reach areas, which we have in this system. We're also exploring using drones to get native seed spread out into those areas where we can't walk, basically.
Was that because of like maybe stuff blowing air?
So part of it is like weather conditions, and to be honest, in this instance this year, part of it was just the contractors we were working with weren't being as careful as they should have been. So yeah, lesson learned there is that our collaborative staff will be on site more actively during some of those applications of herbicide, just to oversee things.
Does that get to the point where you actually have your own equipment where you can do it yourself?
Yeah, right now, I think, we have a lot of the equipment we need to do the work that the contractors do. Only thing we're really missing, we don't have any drones at this point that we can do any drone work with. But any other work that contractors would do, other than a Marsh Master, we've pretty much got everything we need to do the work we need to do. So we're pretty good there. It's just really, we're at the point in some of these sites where, like I said, it's more of a fine tooth comb, and we really need just more boots in the ground to get the work done, and people who are experienced and can tell the difference between a swamp milkweed and purple loosestrife. We just need people out there who know that and are experienced, and so that'll get us to that next level. So
I mean, the before and after the rookery is like an amazing renaissance. I mean, it's
huge difference.
it's huge, and you could see the birds that are migrating there now.
I think every day on Facebook, I look through it at night, and there's usually at least
That's bad for you,
maybe
Craig.
multiple posts. Just the people out every day looking at the birds there.
Right.
So I mean,
Is your experience, is it better to do like control burn or more of a direct approach to Marsh Master and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, so we would love to burn a lot of these sites, but when you look at this map and you look at the screen, we are in a developed area, right? So all of these sites are right next to, neighborhoods, but they're also right up against the infrastructure, like the rights of way, and especially the highways, right? So the smoke control, like wind direction gets really difficult. We can safely burn these, but the issue is smoke control. So we don't want to smoke out, the Borman. But this winter we are going to try to burn MLK South. We burned there in 2021, and we've been trying for 4 years, and it's really just not been proper weather conditions. In terms of Marsh Masters, that's the main thing that we're still using contractors for, is to bring in that larger amphibious equipment and drones to access like the center of these wetlands, right? Because the Lake County Parks crew, they can only get out so far. These are hard to access areas, yeah. But, like Craig just said, the mistakes happen with contractors more than with our crews. So the more capacity the crew has, the more likely we are to avoid those things down the line.
And we dealt with the same thing in the Grand Calumet River with DNR and TNC. We had some contractors that we had to get after. We weren't, totally happy with the work we got, but over time we got through it, and they usually make amends for what they do. And then beyond that, then we've got bigger crews on the ground now, and we're to the point now where it's on maintenance mode. So it's a lot better than what it was. So I think once you start working out over time, you can get it to the point you need to get it at. So, but it's always going to need to be maintained, always. you gotta have people on the ground, I mean, no matter where you're at, because there's gonna be invasive species around the sites. And of course, we wanna try and control everything we can around these units, but there's always gonna be some infestations that could happen again from surrounding populations, so.
I would just add, while I enjoyed the update on the presentation and the progress you guys are making, I'm really impressed and elated by the pipeline that you were talking about, Craig, of whether it's, you know, a part-time worker becoming a full-time, this individual going to the conservancy, and all this cross-training that's taking place and, you know, skill upgrades, especially nothing against the contractors. You know, I don't think contractors try to be malicious in their efforts at all, but I do think that, and Bill kind of points this out every meeting about our economic impact to the area from 2008 to present. And, you know, while we are a flood water management as a priority, we do try to do things recreationally speaking as well to benefit the community. And I think one of those things is very important, like you said, is having employees that can kind of see things, you know, that contractors, you know, may not see. And they actually have a vested interest as well. So I'm hoping that that long-term commitment, that standpoint really stands out and pushes us forward as well.
I have one other question. One of the problems we do have with the locale is beavers. You see that animal over there? That's one of the smallest ones.
Yeah.
All right. So we need trappers. So if anybody out there is interested in doing some trapping, see Dan. Because they clog up the river. And I just want people to understand, besides just taking care of flooding, we have to take care of the animals out there also. What we have along the locale is a winter forest wonderland. And we'd be more than happy to help you with tours or whatever, but it's really wonderland out there. Okay? And that's one of the problems we have.
Tom Larson, who lives in Shelby, he traps all over the county. You've probably
does?
used them, but
Yeah.
we thought we had his biggest ever. It was 80 pounds. We got that mounted down at Grand Kinky Marsh, but
Really?
I heard he just got one that was bigger. So
Wow.
yeah, but we also, in some areas in the parks, we've got a few places where we do let them do their thing. So if we can do it, we'd like to do that. But
Yeah.
in some cases, we can't if it's on a legal drain or in a place where it's gonna flood. So unfortunately, yeah, we can't always leave them in the spot we want to, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing too, we don't allow hunting on the little cow. All right, and there are people going out there with bow and arrows and guns and looking for animals to hunt. So if anybody see anybody, please call the police right away, okay? Because we've been getting reports like that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, our crew knows to get a hold of you too if they see anything like that.
That's right,
They don't hesitate, so.
right. Okay, thank you.
Great, well, thank you all for the time, and of course, thank you for the continued sustained funding in these projects. It's not, achievable without your continued support, so thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Keep up the good work.